In my opinion, the Cobra F9 was the best driver this year. I went as far as saying it was the driver to beat in 2019, and I've had it in the bag the whole year. Well, Cobra are bringing out a new driver, the SZ, and this is my full review. So before we get excited about the new SZ driver, I want to talk about why I felt like the F9 was so popular and why I used it all year. For me, the performance was fantastic. The numbers I got from that driver were superb. Not only that, it looks mean and it looks quite different to some other drivers. Linked in with that, the sound and feel was fantastic. It had that slightly deader noise through the carbon, and the price was much cheaper than competitors out there at £350. Plus, you also get some added tech, including the milled face and the Arcos in the grip, which are massive positives for the F9 driver. So what's new with the SZ driver? Well, first off, it's called SC instead of F10, which I fully expected it to be called. SZ stands for SpeedZone because they've designed it all about gaining clubhead speed. And there's two models this year. There's the standard model, which has two weights, which are flippable around, very similar to the F9, and that's pretty much the direct replacement. And there's the SZ XTREME, which has one weight, more position back in the head to offer more forgiveness. Now, I'm going to get to a point straight away, which I think is very important. The SZ is the same price as the F9 when it first came out. So it's £350 or $449 in the US, which is a massive bonus for Cobra because they could have really hiked up the price this year considering the success of the F9. It comes in two colorways, the black and yellow with the kind of glossy top and the black and white with the more matted top, which is actually my personal favorite, the matted one. Now in this review, I'm going to be focusing my attention on the SZ, so the standard model, because for me that's the one that's going to be most popular and the one that has the best direct comparison to the F9 driver. So before taking it on the golf course, and also more importantly, before comparing it to my F9 driver on GC Quad, let's talk about what's new a little bit more. Because as I mentioned, SC is all about speed zone. Well, the first thing they've changed is the face. They've elongated this milling of the face, so it's 95% more machine milled, and also that's to help with aerodynamics. It's also built with more carbon, so it's got 10% more carbon than the F9 driver. So all in all, the big story with this driver is clubhead speed. It's designed for more aerodynamic flow to help you hit the ball further by adding more speed. Well, I tested it to see if that's the case. Does it pick up more speed than my F9 driver? You're going to find out in this video. But before that, I took it to the golf course to give it a test. So I'm here, I'm excited about hitting these drivers out on the course, but before I do, I want to hit some warm-up shots here on the range, so I'm fully prepared to test these bad boys. Okay, I'm loosened up. I've not hit driver yet, I'm saving that for the course. Let's get out there and see what it can do. So the Cobra SZ driver, how did I find it out on the golf course? Well, for me, I thought it was a fantastic driver. I loved the shape of the SZ. I actually really grew fonder of the overlapping milled face around the toe and the top of the golf club. I didn't like it at first, but it grew on me. Sound-wise, it's very similar to what I'm become accustomed to with the F9, and performance-wise, I like this driver off the tee. I didn't have any hard evidence yet until I tested it on GC Quad, which will come in this video, but for me, the flight was exactly what I'd like to see from a driver. It was up in the air, it was long distances, I felt like I could shape it when I needed to, which is a bonus. I could draw it, fade it, and sometimes hit it straight as I could. And also the sound of the driver was very familiar to the F9. That slightly more carbon maybe in the head, maybe sound a little bit more dead. But all in all, it was a very familiar sound. I liked it performance-wise out on the golf course. Now something I also wanted to experiment with is the Arcos, the Cobra Connect, the device that sits in the end of the grip that helps you track data out on the golf course. And for me as a coach, I think it's so important to track data, and I'll be honest, hold my hands up, I completely neglected it when it comes to, let's say, the F9. So I gave it a shot. I connected it to my phone and I tested it out on the golf course hitting some shots. The only thing I don't like is you have to have your phone in your pocket. Now I have a normal standard iPhone and it felt big in my pocket. I don't particularly like having it in my pocket. If I ever did play with it, I'd have it in my back pocket, but it suggests it's got to go in one of your front pockets. Kind of puts me off a little bit. If you had a bigger phone, that'd be even worse. But looking past that for a moment, the data I got from the shots was actually pretty impressive. So how it works is once you hit a drive, the microphone on your phone that's in your pocket knows when you've hit a shot, it can hear it. Then it'll put a GPS location of where you've hit that shot from, quite simply. You walk down to your drive, you get your phone back out, and then you press done. And basically the phone will tell you how far you've hit it from the location it registered when you hit your tee shot to now where you finished. The more you use that device, I reckon it could be very useful to improve your stats and help you, let's say, you miss all your shots right or you miss all your shots left, whatever it may be, you can actually then start to fix it. But let's get to the meat. Let's find out if the performance of the Cobra SZ was any better than the F9. So, I went up to Quest Golf Academy with GC Quad Pro V1s. I had 3 heads, the F9, the SC and the SC XTREME, all in 9 degrees of loft, all in exactly the same shaft. Do you want to know the numbers? Let's start off with my F9 first as a baseline level to know what basically these two have to be. So distances with the F9 was exactly where I like to see them. 288 yards of carry distance for 312 yards of total distance. The spin rate was just over 2,000 and the ball speed was 161.3 miles per hour. Perfect, that's why that driver's been in the bag all year. Now clubhead speed with this, because it's key to note, certainly when I compare it with the SC, clubhead speed was clocking in at 113.9 miles per hour. So remember that number. So now it's the moment of truth. Did the SZ, the new model from Cobra, outperform the F9 that's been in my bag all year? Let's have a look at some numbers. Let's look at distance first. Well, the distance was exactly the same carry distance, 288 yards. It gave me 310 yards of total distance. The spin was very similar to the F9 and the ball speed was almost exactly the same at 161 miles per hour. Did the clubhead speed change? Because that's what they're claiming should have changed with the new aerodynamic shaping. I was getting 113.9 with the F9 and with the SC, I picked up a grand total of 0.4 miles per hour. The SC gave me 114.3 miles per hour. Almost nothing. I mean, the tiniest change. That is not a lot at all, if I'm honest. And I also tested the SC XTREME. Now this particular head has a center of gravity that's much further back. It's much more suited for higher handicappers who want more forgiveness as opposed to out and out distance. And that's pretty much what I saw. It didn't go quite as far and it spun up a little bit more, but in honest, it did go fairly straight and it was easier to hit. But comparing F9 to SZ, there was next to no difference. So as a summary, if you currently use the Cobra F9 driver, the SZ is categorically not worth upgrading to. And I, for one, will not be moving into the SC driver over the F9. Having said that, the SC is a fantastic driver, as is the F9. And that's why I think the SC is going to be the driver to beat in 2020. We'll see you next time.